Morning, friends. It's Rod. How are you? Hey, listen. In light of what's happened this last week in our country, and a few friends of mine, two good friends from my childhood, lost a younger brother this last weekend, or a couple weeks ago, and I have another friend in the end stages of cancer, and so I just wanted to talk about this, which I have not talked about publicly. Mostly because I haven't fully processed it. I'm, as many of you know, I uh, I have ADHD and I've had it my whole life, and because I have ADHD, it makes me question everything. I need to figure everything out. That's what hyperfocus ADHD is. Our brains focus on shit, and if I can't focus on how something works, I have a tough time wrapping my head around it. As is the case for religion. I remember reading the Bible with my mother when I was a kid and thinking to myself, there's no way that somebody could be hung on a cross and survive. That's just not rational. And I know some of you are cringing right now, but that's just the way I am. That's the way my brain works. And so I've never been a opponent of religion. In fact, I think it does a lot of good. It does great good, but it can also do bad. So, that's just why I was never a believer. So this is why it's so tough for me to talk about this. But the night of September 1st, 2021, which is the day that I had my brain hemorrhage, I think I remember seeing Jay and Kara that day, but they had me so pumped full of drugs and my head was in such pain that you guys can't even imagine the pain. It was... I remember the neurosurgeon telling me later that week that, Rod, if you'd been in a car accident and you had bleeding between your skull and your brain, we would just drill a hole and release the pressure. But where the bleed happened in your brain, there's nothing we can do to relieve that pressure. So it's just going to take time. And that blood has to get resorbed into the brain material. And then the headache will go away. But until then, we just got to suck it up. And so they kept pumping me full of drugs. And well, that night, after everybody went home except for the people in the ED, or the neuropsych emergency department, not neuropsych, neurological ED. Sorry, my mouth and brain doesn't work so well this early in the morning. But that night, I left my body. And, obviously when this happens to somebody, of course, I've watched YouTube and listened to other people's near-death experiences and stuff like that. And that part of mine mirrored 99% of the people that talk about leaving their body. All of a sudden, I was looking down on a body on the table from above the ceiling height. I was above the ceiling. The ceiling was probably 10 feet tall in this neurological ICU. But I was at least 20 feet in the air over this body. At the time, it didn't dawn on me that it was me. It was just, everything was just like matter of fact. It was like, It was very similar to like driving by a car accident and being like, interesting, like, what if I can idiot, right? So I remember thinking, boy, that guy's in rough shape. But at no point did I think that's me. So, the first thing that I heard, or that I thought when I heard about Charlie Kirk this week, was that he doesn't even know he's dead. And that's a good thing. And I also thought immediately after that, he's in a better place. There's no question about it. So, from the time I left my body, and first I'll mention that I was above my body. Everything was in a fisheye kind of view. Really just my bed and all the machines and people scurrying about. Probably at least 6 or 7 people right around my bed. Very busy looking. And I vividly remember seeing one of the people around my bed with their main med tag flipped over, and it was on their back. And I don't know why I just grabbed that memory. I was just there and I saw it and I thought, I guess I remember thinking, I guess that's so it doesn't droop in the patient's face or something. But so from there, I didn't see any white light. I didn't see any of that stuff. But the next thing I know is I'm in this area that I call the navy blue. And I don't know what else to call it because I was like, I don't recall even sensing that I had a body attached to me. It was just, I was out there. And it was the most beautiful blue I've ever seen. And it was just neither opaque nor transparent. It was all encompassing. And in fact, I remember one of my first thoughts is, what the fuck is this? And at that point is when the frequencies came to me. And I know this is going to sound fucking weird. And if I was sitting where you are, I'd be like, you're fucking crazy. You're crazy. That's all there is to it. But I remember as I thought something, the frequencies would come. And they would answer my questions. I didn't ask them. I just thought them. And then answers would come to me in the form of vibrations like frequencies. And being an electrician, I get it. I understand what they do. They're all around us today because we have radio waves and everything. But at that point, they were communicating to me just like they communicate with your radio in your car. And then your car processes that signal and turns it into information so that you can hear. Well, this to me was just information that was coming to me in waves and frequencies. And I was interpreting it so much better. I knew it better than the English language. Like, it made total fucking sense to me. It just did. And then the next thing I remember thinking was, what the hell is this place? And the answers just started coming to me, and they were like, well, your spirit is an energy, and once an energy is created in the universe, it's never gone. And I thought, so, okay, that makes sense. And then the next thing I remember thinking was, why can I feel this color? Why can I touch it? Why can I taste it? Why can I see it? And, everything. There's a downy woodpecker right there. I'm out on the trails. And at that point, I was like in disbelief. I'm just thinking to myself, okay. But at no point was there ever a sense of urgency or, oh no. I still did not realize that was me on the table. It was just like I said, a matter of fact kind of thing. And I was in this navy blue area. And I remember thinking to myself, well, duh, of course you can feel. So, I don't know, my battery died there. So, I'm just thinking to myself, how much of an idiot am I? Of course you can taste and feel and sense and smell and feel color, and it's all part of you. It's all envelops you. I was at complete and utter peace. I had no sense of urgency. There was zero sense of time. Zero. No sense of time. No sense of travel. I mean, I literally went from being over the bed with that fisheye view to the navy blue. And that was it. And the navy blue, to me, which again, I don't recall feeling like I had limbs or a body, but my energy could feel like I was floating in I would equate it to, the closest thing I can think of is like seltzer water. Like, how the bubbles, like, that's what it felt like on my skin, or what would be my skin. But of course, I don't recall even feeling that. But I felt like I was enveloped in this, like, love fluid, honestly. Like, it was all encompassing me. And it was fucking weird. And At the time, I wasn't processing any of it. I was just observing and getting these communications every time I had a thought. And when I said I understood the communication better than English, the reason I say that is because when the vibrations told me that you are an energy, energy was not the word that was used. Neither was spirit, neither was soul. It was a word, a frequency or word. I don't know how you translate those two. But it was a word we don't have on this planet. And I fully fucking understood exactly what it meant. And my takeaway is that once an energy or a soul, closest words we have here, are created, they remain in the universe. And they're part of the universe. And then I remember thinking, well, why? And then the vibrations told me that we're on a learning path and that we continue on to learn. And my takeaway was that Earth is part of our learning path and that it's part of us to learn how to, I guess, be good in the universe. That was my takeaway. So I only share this because I want my friend who's at the end stages of cancer to understand that, and she doesn't have to believe me, but I was a doubter, and I'm not at all saying there's a God that created the entire universe. Again, because of my ADHD, I think very, very logically, and I read just 2 days ago that we found a planet 100 light years away from us. 100 light years. That's close in this universe. That's close. And if that's close, the idea that one person built everything, it just doesn't compute in my brain. And I'm not disparaging anybody that believes in God or religion. I think that's great because I think you're going to be good people. But it didn't convince me. I didn't see a light. I didn't see any human figures or forms talking to me. I felt vibrations that communicated to me, and I understood them better than the English language. And then the next thing I know, Rod, do you know where you are? Do you know where you are? Are you awake? I'm like, what? Immediately, Rod, you're at Main Med. You've had a stroke. Immediately, like that. The pain coursed back through my body instantly. And I was like, oh, fuck. What the hell just happened? And so, the second part of this, I mean, I believe all this happened for a reason. I believe I'm alive for a reason. I don't understand the reason, but I'm here to do good. I know that, and I know that karma is real. That if you're a bad person, you're going to get what's coming to you, and if you're a good person, the universe is going to accept you. Maybe it's God for you guys. I don't know. All I know, it was a place of love where there was no sense of time. And, they talk about living in the ever after. Well, on this world, that would seem painful because we have time. And time is short. And the average lifespan in this country is what, 70-something years? That's not a long time, considering how long the universe has been here. So, I think I take solace in the fact that there is no sense of time, and that when you're out there somewhere or whatever it is, that you're going to be in comfort. I don't know what I would say if you were a bad person. I suppose maybe there's a bad part of the universe that those people go to. I have no idea. I honestly don't. But all I can tell you is what I experienced, and everybody that I know that's lost members of their family or my friend who has cancer. These are all great people who've done good. So I know they're going to this good part of the universe after they leave here. And so that was it. I was back in my body. All the pain was back immediately. I never even noticed that it left. I was just above my body, looking through this fisheye at what was going on. So now I'm back in my body. And I don't know what time it was. I don't even know if it was middle of the night or morning. But I was awake. I was foggy. I mean, I was drugged up. But as people were coming over to my bed and treating me, a doctor was talking to me, and I don't recall whether it was one of the anesthesiologists who's giving me the intravenous blood medicine to lower my blood pressure, because when you have a stroke, your blood pressure shoots through the roof. But when they turned around and walked away from my bed, I could see their name tag on their back. And immediately, I was like, holy fuck. I saw that. Like, like, that shit has just never fucking left my brain. And, yeah, it's fucked up, but there's more out there, guys. There's something. I won't say it's religion, because I can't. I didn't see what some other people see. I have watched a lot of near-death experiences, and I've only come across a handful of people who have actually discussed the vibrations. So I know that I'm not the only one that experienced this. But, so the second part of that story is that after that night, and I guess because you always hear that your life flashes before your eyes before you die. Well, that didn't happen to me before I died. And I still don't know whether I died. I just, all I know is that it changed me profoundly. And nothing that's ever happened in my life has had this much of an impact. So I tend to believe that I did die. But it's still hard for me to process. So anyway, back to the point of your life flashes before your eyes. Well, I left my body, I came back to my body, and then for about the next 3 or 4 weeks, I laid in my hospital bed, and every time I would doze off, it started with all the good. The best moments of my life would come flooding back into my brain. I remember being with friends, parties, my dog when I was a kid. And these things all flooded back into my brain. And I got to relive them with the smells. Like, everything was there. The mannerisms, it was all there. Just like it was actually happening. It wasn't like dreamlike. It was so real. And it was awesome. I honestly could not wait to fall asleep, because I was like, this is kind of cool, I really didn't understand it. But after that, it was like maybe 2 straight weeks of that, where I'd relive these amazing events of my life, amazing friends, stuff like that. One of them, and I'll just shout this one out here. It was, I used to ride to school with Kim Hartman in the morning, and she had this little Honda Civic. And in order to warm it up, it was like one of the little ones. And she lived at the top of Bell Hill, which is very steep. She would fly down the hill in like second gear, and the RPMs would just go through the roof. And by the time she got to the bottom of the hill, the engine was warm. I remember going on the hill with her and just laughing and just thinking that was the best thing ever. That was like how her brain figured out how to warm up the car. And I remember thinking, that's so awesome, And I remember, laughing. So it was events like that that came to me. And then after that, it was 2 weeks of like pure hell. All of the bad that happened in my life, like calling the my step bitch a cunt to my father when he was having an affair with her. I was like 11, and I'm like, and I lost my shit. It was too much for me to process. And of course, my mother was like poisoning my brain that my dad was an asshole and I didn't know what to think. So I called my stepmother a cunt. The next thing I know, I'm flat on my ass on the floor. He punched me out, knocked me clean out on the kitchen floor, and he was on top of me, pummeling me. That's the kind of guy my father was. Everybody liked him, but he was not a good father at all. And it was stuff like that, always being in trouble at school for shit that I did not understand why. Teachers yelling at me, stuff like that. That shit was tough. That's why I focus so hard on my ADHD these days, because I want to figure it out. It's powerful stuff, guys. Sorry I'm getting upset. Okay, guys, I gathered my chickens a bit. I went for a little bit more of a ride around the property. So, anyway, I wouldn't take back what I said to my father about my stepmother. And I hate to call her that because she was never a mother to me. She was a fucking cunt. And I stand by that. So what I said at the age of 11 was correct. And my father pummeled me for it. After he's the one that slept with his secretary and fucking destroyed a family. But anyway, that was the next few weeks where everything bad that happened in my life came to me. And I had to process all that. And what is a lot of people don't understand is that the stroke for me erased the area of my brain where all your what I call emotional filters reside. So when you're a kid and you spill your milk in kindergarten, the teacher goes and you start crying. The teacher goes, "Oh, you don't cry over spilled milk." Well, that's an emotional filter. It goes in your filter bank, and you know the next time you don't cry over that. Well, I was what I would call emotionally constipated because of the trauma that I had as a child. My parents fought all the time, and I suspect my ADHD stems from that. We were always, I was always a problem because of my ADHD. I just couldn't sit still, so I was always in trouble. So that was my perception of growing up. So anyway, that shit all came back to me over a few week period. And I had to relearn how to process emotions all over again. It's not been easy, but I just wanted to say this stuff, guys, because what's happened in the last few weeks, I want to hopefully comfort some of you that can believe in something greater than us. And I'm not saying that's God, but I'm not denying it either. But just know that, at least from my perspective, as a huge doubter, I mean, like I said, I need to see and touch things and make sure that they work. That's just the way my brain works. Not doubting because I'm doubting because I can't see it and touch it and feel it, not because I have a reason to doubt it, just because I need to see things in concrete. And I have yet to see that. So, and I did not see the white light or the godlike figures, but I felt the love. I did. It's there. Charlie Kirk is in a better place. John and Matt's brother Pat is in a better place. My friend who's passing from cancer, he'll be in a better place. And the pain of death is for those that are still here on earth. is enough for the person who dies. I never knew it. Wouldn't. If I never came back, I'd have no idea. No idea. You don't realize it when you leave your body. You don't realize it. I didn't realize it was me laying on that bed. So I mean, just take comfort, guys. And I hope the fuck this country shapes the fuck up. Seriously, take care. Bye bye.